Hey, Liron here. Welcome aboard. Thank you so much for being here. Let me test the audio, make sure everything is running smoothly. And yeah, we'll get started. I have a fun one today for you. If you've been, yeah, good, we're good. If you've been wondering how I take my reference photos and where I get them and how I get them, I have a fun one for you. And I'll share with you tons of reference photos I took over the last couple of years. And you'll get to see what I'm working with, what kind of a bank I'm working with, because I have a lot of I haven't I'm not even close to painting most of the photos I took, but I'm making good progress. Not that it's meant for that. I always aspire to have tons of things I haven't yet painted. But in any case, let's first say hi to everyone. So thank you so much for being here. Hey, Tiny Face McGee, I just bought your book and I'm so excited for it. Reading your books really helps to cement the knowledge you're teaching us. Thank you. Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you so much. Which one did you get? I'm curious. Is it the How to Sketch book or is it the Cars book? Let me know. The Cars is less educational, so I wonder if it's that. Hey, John, how are you doing? Hope everything is well with you too. Hey, Hillel, how are you doing? Good noon, afternoon to you. Moscow Cowboy, how are you on from Jacksonville, Florida? By the way, I am planning on having a good sit down with my Instagram and answering all messages because I'm way behind. I've been working on a lot of projects. They were just very time consuming. But yeah, hey Cam C, how are you doing? Hope everything is well. Hey Haiti, how are you doing? Uh, Hope everything is well with you too. Yeah, we're gonna let a couple more people in and then we'll get to it. I did want to show you because I haven't yet shown this on a video. So this is the painting I just shared on Instagram. Maybe you've seen it. From Brooklyn. I was actually able to find the address, and this will connect to today's topic, by the way, of the live stream. So that's fun. I was able to find the exact location of this, and I'll share with you later. I think it's fun to know where it came from. Hillel, finally, oh, you finished your military duty. Finally, amazing, amazing. So you're gonna have tons of more free time. I remember when I was in that place. It was amazing. Moscow Cowboy, thank you so much. And Kamsi, thank you, John, as well. I went over, by the way, I went over my big arch roll just to figure out how much I have because I may need it for a large painting, a couple of large paintings actually I have planned. And I think it's funny. I'm gonna run out of finally in a couple of more paintings. I'm gonna run out of the huge arch roll that I have. I've shown it once on a live stream. It's like this tall and it's a 10-yard roll. I'm finally gonna run through it. That's the second roll I basically run through, I think, in my career so far. It's 10. It's I don't know what 10-yard is. I think it's about 9 meters over 1.20 meters, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, I'm running through it. I have tons of more paper, just not in a roll. So it's funny to finally be there. Um, T, that gray in the cloud is stunning. You did something similar with the clouds in the painting that you put on auction too. Yes, I have. I don't remember if it's this one or a previous auction. I'm not sure. But yeah, I really like it. Someone commented, I don't remember who it was, about the the cloud coinciding with the wires. That's actually my bad. I should have probably painted these a little higher in between the clouds. I just lack of foresight. I was so focused on placing these lines that I didn't realize I could probably get rid of this one and then just paint another one above it. We'll see. Maybe I'll do that. I don't know if I can get rid of this already now once it's fully dry, but we'll see. Maybe I'll be able to kind of weaken this one, add another one. But yeah, my favorite bit is still, and it's the one I talked about also, I think on Instagram, I mentioned this spot right here of the buildings in the background. That to me ended up working really nicely. And yeah, I do find these kinds of scenes challenging where everything here is just in the shadow. Takes a bit more of a nuanced approach, I think, and yeah, I feel like I did a good job with this one. I will show you the reference to it too today. Retail Entropy, that's a cool username. Super excited to take your class. Thank you for helping me out when I had trouble with the download. Oh yeah, no worries, this was you. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Happy to be here. Awesome. Thank you for being here. Pascaline, bonjour from UK. How do you store your paintings? In piles, in the closet, in folders. I have them here. These two are folders for paintings. The green one and the black one. There's tons of paintings there. Older ones too. Kempsey, the clouds would reach between the lines at some point. Yeah, you are correct. So all I need to do is just give the painting some time and they'll move there, right? If it was that easy, it would have been interesting. Nico, hi Liron. I was wondering what your best tips are for painting architecture. Oh, that's an interesting one. If you talk about painting, the best thing I can say is really to develop your own taste and find what you love. That's kind of general art. But I will say, if you're talking specifically about architecture, I think understanding helps. So if you understand perspective, you don't have to be a master or anything like that. But if you understand how perspective works, that would give you a serious boost. If you just understand how lines converge into the horizon, how 1, 2, 3 vanishing points work, that helps a lot. I have something in my teeth. Wash it with some coffee. I think that would be it. Everything you're looking at, if you feel overwhelmed or you're confused, if you can understand what it is by seeking the knowledge to help with that, that would be the best. So if you see a street scene kind of disappearing into a vanishing point, so you go ahead and explore one point perspective, you figure out how that works, what kind of things it ignores, because it ignores a lot of things. It is a lot about exploring, and then maybe boosting it with some lessons on very specific problems you're having a hard time solving. I will mention again, I need to create that perspective course. I really do need to do that. It's been a long time coming. Moscow Cowboy, you have an excellent grasp of tonality. Thank you so much. Thank you. That's awesome. And contrast. Cool. Jacqueline Parks, good morning. Thank you so much, Jacqueline. Oh, by the way, I will go back to T's message. I did that in the auction. The auction is going to end soon. So let me bring it up. We'll start with that as a few more people come in, and then we'll get to it, because this auction ends today, 8:30 p.m. Eastern. So if you want to get this painting, let me share Chrome tab. There we go. If you want to get this painting that you're seeing here, this specific one, for what I think is a great price, now's your chance. Basically, now's your chance. Oh, I've confused the windows. Wait, this comes here, this goes there. Okay, good. So yeah, check it out. It's currently only 2 bids, so you can get it for $89 if you'll be the highest bidder if you put in 89, and then you get it under $100. This is, by the way, I think this is a Tesla. Now that I look at it, so feel free to check that out. I will mention maybe towards the end of the live stream, but yeah, I think this is one of the best opportunities to get a painting of mine that is really what I like most about watercolor. Yes, there is. I don't remember if I put the link. Yeah, it should be the first link in the description of this video. Let me check, just make sure. Yes, special painting auction ends today. If you press that link, you'll find it. You can do that after the stream too if you want to. No pressure at all. But yeah, whoever gets this, I'll be happy to ship it out to. So Vespa, hey, how are you doing from Northern California? Thank you for being here. Is up early. Is that true? Yes, I think. Yeah, I think usually you join a little later. Kempsey, hey Liron, I like to mix my own colors and just learning how to still, but I've run out of blue. Which color blue do you recommend? So it's really interesting that you ask that, because I have changed my opinion on that. I am experimenting with this kind of that's the only tube they had, Cotman's. I would otherwise have purchased a different one, but this is cobalt blue hue, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so cobalt blue is basically French ultramarine and some white mixed together. That's usually how they make these. So this is PB29. Wait, 29 is French ultramarine. I think PB29 pigment. Let me check that, and then we'll ultramarine blue. Yeah, so ultramarine blue with a bit of just permanent white, if I'm not mistaken. I find that this makes for better mixes than French ultramarine, phthalo blue, all of these other colors. Now, I would ideally, again, get a cobalt blue that is not Cotman's. I'll find the Daniel Smith one or something like that. It's gonna, if you follow the yellow cyan magenta, you're far more likely to mix more types of mixes. So I would go with a lemon yellow. For the yellow, you have some freedom there. You can go with something else too. but don't make it an orange yellow. Make it like a neutral to lemony yellow. Cyan is the cobalt, and the magenta is PV19, that's quinacridone rose. Those would be your best bets if you want to mix as much as you can. You can mix spiral scarlet out of it if you want. You just mix the yellow and the quinacridone rose. I'm in the process of just simplifying. I'll end up probably with just a palette of 3 paints, 3 pigments, and that's it. Honestly, I'm headed there, and it's going to be cobalt blue for now for me. The thing is, you may want to explore. Maybe other brands will have something that's a little more effective, but I am really getting off the French ultramarine train. It's just not as good for what I'm after. The sky that you see here, a lot of it was done with that kind of a more cobalty blue. I actually mixed it myself. It's French ultramarine and permanent white. This is what it's the same practically, but I mixed it myself. So yeah. Hey Fiona, how are you doing? And by the way, let me know if you have any follow-ups for that. But these to me are, I think, the most versatile. I think they're the most versatile. And you can mix a nice, very neutral gray with them. Fiona, hope you're doing well. Jacqueline, is there a link? Yes, it's the first one I mentioned. Hey, Turple, it's been a while. I haven't seen you there. I remember the pool in your profile pic. Thank you so much for being here. 5 a.m. in Cali. Yeah, that's rough. California, it is rough. It is early. Oh yeah, that's what you meant. Yeah, I must have misunderstood it. Yeah. I thought Moscow Koba, you're actually keeping tabs on people who join usually later in the stream. And I was like, yeah, he's right. Vespa does join later, but yeah, it makes sense. It's just based on the clock. I haven't even thought of that. That's how dumb you get when you're streaming. Honestly, I can't do anything while streaming other than that. I can't do math, can't do anything. Painting I can, which is already amazing. Thank you, Jacqueline. If you have to pick only 2 specific colors, what would they be, man? If it's just 2, I will miss something. I have to say, I need 3. But if I had to, I would probably go with, I'll need to find the neutral for cobalt blue, and that will be cobalt blue and that neutral. Because French ultramarine would be burnt sienna, but I'm not sure what it would be for cobalt blue. So I don't know, I'll have to explore that. But it'll have to be like a cool and a warm, and then you just do your best with that, because I need the temperature difference too. It's not enough for me to have just the contrast in value. John, good morning to you too. Yes, that's how special I am. Yes, that is true. I guess. Thank you so much, Vespa. Yeah, that's actually quite amazing. So thank you. Pondfish, I just added cobalt myself. Awesome. Yes, yeah, it's 8 a.m. I think I started this stream 8 a.m. Eastern. Yes, that's true. So in New York, it's 8. I don't know why I always go by Eastern when I could go with other time zones. I love bleeding all my blues together. Yeah, that could work if ideally, yes. If you're just using all colors, that would work perfectly. I am missing just the cobalt component, I think. But yeah. And some of my favorite paintings are the ones where I am really using all of my colors. I have quite a few of these in portraits or others. It's this kind of a thing where you're using all of the colors. It ends up working in harmony still. As long as you mix them enough and you kind of, you have to be aware of some stuff, but usually it does end up working quite nicely. Like here, if you look at this, for example, there's a lot of different colors, especially along this area. There's a lot of blues, reds, greens, just a bit of everything. So, and yeah, it does end up working well together. You got it. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's, you'll find that some people may just like a different primary wheel kind of thing, or some people would prefer to use non-primary colors. I actually enjoyed a lot of paintings that I did back in the day with Daniel Smith's secondary palette, which was quite nice. It's the palette with the carbazole violet, undersea green, quinacridone burnt orange, if I'm not mistaken. So that's orange, green, and violet. This worked really well as well, and you can do a lot with it if you want to. I think I should have a page with all of my supplies down below, and you could find it there probably. And then if you use my affiliate link, I make a nice little commission. So thank you for that. Jill, hey, how are you doing? Hope everything is well with you. Nikki, hey, thank you for being here. Not a stalker, just work in sales, so I know time zones. Oh, that's good. That's good. That's useful too. Prussian blue and burnt sienna. I don't like Prussian blue as much. It works for very specific things. For most of my uses, it's not as good. Thank you. Happy to help. One of the things I really enjoy is sharing and the art. So I'm kind of lucky in that sense, because a lot of artists just don't enjoy that aspect of communicating and talking, and it's kind of necessary sometimes to succeed. So I'm really grateful for these streams and everything, and people actually being interested. So thank you, Moscow Cowboy, for being here. Madame, you mesmerize with your paints. I follow you regularly. Thank you so much. Nikki, hooray, Liron. It's been a while. Better plug in my phone so I can stay on after midnight here, but I'm wide awake. Awesome. Cool. Don't go to bed too late, though. Laura, hey, how are you doing? Another early Californian, indeed. Wow, thank you so much. Now I'll have to make a mental note, and every time I see someone I remember from California early on, I'm super grateful for that. Marjorie, hey, how are you doing? And another Marjorie, Marjorie Johnson, NB, thank you so much for being here. Good morning. Has everyone seen the cars in Brooklyn? Maybe my favorite. Thank you so much. Yes, I have shown it a bit here. So let me show you, actually. On that note, let me share with you. This is pretty much the topic of today. Let me see if I can share the entire window here. So let me just show you. I have this folder in which I basically have all my reference photos. So the way I do this, and I will talk a bit, I have a couple of notes here, but what may help you is to know that I always take photos. Whenever I'm outside, walking, Ruth, whatever, on vacation, I always take photos. Now, this isn't something that was always the case. It kind of just happened naturally with time. So in the beginning, I would only take photos if I am specifically going to get photos. But then I realized that interesting things really are everywhere. And because my main interest is the light and shadow, I don't need much of an interesting, it doesn't have to be, for example, cars. I don't need to see a cool, special vintage car. All I really need is to see a car that is hit in an interesting way by light and shadow. So I'm quite fortunate in that way. And if I'm on vacation, I do use this opportunity to take as many photos as I can. So what ends up happening is I have a huge backlog of photos on my phone. I'm going to talk a bit about how they make their way onto these folders, but basically I have here everything sorted out by subjects. So I have here cars that I've taken over the last couple of years. There's more on my phone. I'm going to talk about that a bit. There's Florence. So by the way, I wonder if yeah, you can't see the preview because it's a separate window. So what I can do is go ahead and do extra large icons, just so you can see a bit more of the details, just the way it shares the screen. So for example, this is Ponte Vecchio, right? The painting. But this is the original picture. So you can see it's a little wider. You can see more of the top and the bottom. I decided to crop it this way because it was more interesting to me. So I'll crop it multiple ways, then I'll go over them. I chose this one, wrote down best. That's how I know. Sometimes I'll write do not use, or like not as good as. I'll write very descriptive words in the file names, just so that I know, like, okay, to remember quickly if I go back to it. For example, you have this one, right? So let's change it also so that it's extra large. So you have these photos, which you've seen me paint in a video here, right? On YouTube. This, for example, I have a plan to make a huge painting out of, this one in particular, right? So I'm keeping it here. Sometimes if I'm done with something, I'll put it in a separate folder. But talking about New York, let me show you. So this is my New York folder. And this, I wrote down done for now, because I'm probably not going to paint this one soon. But you can see this is the scene this is based on. Right, it's quite similar. I have changed some of the colors, so it's important to note. Hey, Noni, thank you for being here. You're gonna recognize some scenes, some local scenes. Okay, let's see. So I'm not frozen to you, so that's good. So it's probably a local thing. Sorry about that, Nikki. Let me just make sure on my end we're all good. Okay, yeah, maybe there was a bit of a connection drop and it took a while to get back. Okay, Jacqueline, sometimes I want to paint so many things that I get stuck and don't paint anything. Yeah, that's a very common occurrence. I actually need to talk about that in an upcoming video. Let me think about it. I'm going to take a screenshot of your comment. That would be the easiest way for me to refer back to it. That's something I want to discuss because a lot of people suffer from. What you have to understand, this to me is not a replacement to painting. It's not something I do by force. Just very naturally, I ended up taking a lot of photos of things that interest me. So I didn't do this as an avoidance from painting, but I also didn't do it to encourage myself to paint. I just did it because I often see things that are visually interesting to me. I don't know if everyone works that way. Many artists work from real life almost exclusively. I'm not like that. It's hard to deny. My natural mode is just to paint from photos. It's okay. I do enjoy the occasional plein air, and I do want to do more of them, but it's not something that is necessarily better and to aspire for me. I just enjoy painting this way. So yeah, I will address this, Jacqueline, hopefully in an upcoming video. I am playing around with the idea of making something more detailed about that. We'll figure it out because a lot of people deal with the mental stuff that, you know, it affects everyone. Before your watercolor problems, it's other problems usually. So yeah. Whoa, you nitty geek. I don't even remember where I put a file 2 hours ago. So, you know, if you can tell based on that only that I'm a real neat geek, I am. You have no idea how well organized I am. If I'll show you my YouTube folders, you'll laugh hysterically. It's all numbered. It's all like super high organized. I can't do it any other way. It's just a mess if I don't. So yeah. Moscow Cowboy. All my photos from phone go to my OneDrive automatically. Then I pick the ones I like and save to another folder. Cool. So what I'll do is once in a while I'll go over them and then I'll just send them over to my computer from my iPhone using Dropbox, I think. So yeah. So if you look at my New York folder, for example, you may recognize other paintings here. If you remember, a while back, I did a painting process of two people walking from the back. I called it painting people in 2 simple steps. It's this one. You may recognize this scene. Now, I still keep it because I have an idea for a really good painting with it. You'll see here this painting, this photo, on which I based my painting that's currently in auction. So did I put it in the folder for now for safekeep? I think it is. Let me get it. It's here. And you can still hear me talk because I'm mic'd. So here we go. So maybe you can tell it's this scene, right? So all of these, you know, scenes and paintings, they find their way to be painted. And I'm going to talk about a bit more about how that happens. But one thing I did want to mention is variety and options. So whenever I take photos, especially if I'm on vacation and it's kind of an interesting view, I'll take a lot of photos. Now, this is a good example. These 3 are a good example of that. Also, this restaurant scene. What I do is I really do take a bunch of photos in different orientations and distances. So if I really like a scene, I'll take the photo just like I would paint it, honestly. That's how I know. Because I take the photo, I know where I like to place the focal point. I know how I like to organize stuff. So I'll take a bunch of horizontal pictures, vertical pictures. But then what I'll usually do is I'll also zoom out, or I may use the 1.5 zoom out on my iPhone and take a big wide picture of the entire thing. That way I can digitally crop it however I want later on. So sometimes a scene that I paint, I have a photo that is way more zoomed out than what you see. So it's very interesting. Here's another one for you. If you're a geek of my content, you may recognize this photo because I took a bunch of photos of Brooklyn Bridge. I ended up painting one of them, showing a red car crossing the bridge. But I went back to my camera roll and I found this one showing the New York taxi and another car. And I decided I will probably paint this scene as well. Which is funny. It's a very similar scene to the one I painted. The only difference is the cars, and it's a little lower angle. You see less of the background behind the bridge. So this is kind of how I do it whenever I'm out and about. If I see something I like, and let me show you much simpler scenes. So if we go to Miscellaneous is really interesting. We were on vacation, for example, in Kiev, so I ended up taking a bunch of photos there. This is the only one I have left because the rest I painted. But if you look at something like TLV, Tel Aviv, I have a bunch of photos here of just random buildings and details that I like. That's how I do it. And I have a lot of these, and some of them are repetitive. If you look at this, right? So here I wrote down even a note, woman in green, because there was a woman that I wanted to include in a painting, but this wasn't the best crop. This is another little tidbit into how I do it. So let me find it. So sometimes I'll take multiple photos and a section of the photo ends up being more interesting. Where is it? There we go. So I like this crop because of the car maybe, but I like this one because the woman is at the perfect placement on the zebra stripes, whatever it is, a crosswalk. So I'll use both of them. I'll either edit them digitally together just to place things where I want them to be, or I will just sketch them out like this because I can do it already, and just paint it the way I want perfectly. So that's also something I will do. Let's keep it like that for now. So that's also something I will do. And it just gives you more options and a variety. I'll take the same crop a few times until the car hits the frame just right. So let's say I'm taking a picture of whatever, the boulevard, and the car is coming through. I'll snap a bunch of them. Sometimes a bus will go through, block your entire view. But then at some point you'll get like the perfect cyclist, maybe someone on a bicycle or a scooter, and the perfect car hitting the light perfectly. And then you get options, you get things to use. Again, I don't do this for the sake of taking a lot of photos. I just learned with time what I enjoy visually, and I end up capturing a lot of that. So that's kind of the point I'm making. Let's see what you're saying, and then we'll continue. I have a couple of more notes to show you. Jacqueline, oh gosh, I'm not neat or organized, super distracted, but somehow I can find things on my studio. Yeah, so this became a necessity to me because I would always search for, okay, where was this? I used to have one photo with just to paint. It was a category of things to paint. But then I ended up being a bit confused. I would search for a specific reference photo. I'll scroll for a long time. I ended up dividing it. Now, here's what I do. Sometimes I'll go over my phone. You see this new batch? This is empty, so I can just get rid of that. So I'll go over my photos on my phone, and I'll like a lot of them. So I'll just select maybe 10 or 20, upload them to my computer, and put them in this folder, in a new batch folder. This is still unsorted. It's a bunch of stuff that I need to transfer onto the correct folders, but there's no pressure. It's still here. Once I feel like painting one of these, maybe I'll transfer it. I'm not like an organization freak just for the sake of being organized. It's just very practical to me. So I still have these photos floating here, haven't been sorted yet, but that's fine. Sometimes I'll be in the mood for something. So I'll want to paint an interior, for example. So I have this folder ready with tons of interiors that I can paint. This one you may recognize, right? It's the shoes that I painted. This is the photos it was based on, and I have a bunch of them. Again, I took a lot of photos of the scene and the different from afar, and you can see the shoes here in the distance, from up close. That's kind of how I like to do it. It gives me a lot of options. Turple, do you take them with your phone? Yes, with my iPhone. Don't need anything fancy. I find that the more amateurish the photo looks, the better it is. Like the most professional photos are usually at twilight times when it's overcast. The light is very soft and kind of evenly distributed by the clouds. I like the opposite. Give me the amateurish, high contrast, sometimes colorful photos. My iPhone is good. It doesn't exaggerate the colors too much. It feels very natural still, so that's how I do it. Yes. For example, we visited Vietnam, took tons of photos in Vietnam. These I painted for you, the lily pads. I have this really cool reflection of myself that I just took a picture of. I thought it would be an interesting thing to play with. I still have this. I haven't finished the painting. It's still here. So yeah. I'll just take as many photos as I can when I see something that I'm interested in. John, if you have plenty of cardboard boxes, try painting some stuff you need to work on. I draw. I'm working on eyebrows and noses. when I cannot think what to draw. So what do you mean? Do you mean like having always a pile of paintings to use as reference? Because I heard that some people do that as well. That sounds interesting. But I'm not sure I understood the cardboard boxes. Let me know. T-sketches. By the way, I invested in DaVinci Sable 1503 number 6 brush. I'm trying it out, and I'm finding that my Sable that I got from AliExpress for much less dollars keeps a better tip. That's interesting. That is really interesting. Yeah, sometimes the good brushes, their tips will get a little screwed, but it's not necessarily a bad thing. I actually have, so I don't remember who asked. Someone asked me in a comment to talk about my brushes. So Saturday's video is going to be about my brushes. I'm going to share the 3 kind of main brands that I currently use and the specific brushes. So if you look at this one, let me go solo for a second here. If you look at this brush, this is an Escoda, right? High quality, really good. The tip, I don't know if you can see, and my camera is not good at focusing, but do you see how it has this little dip? It dips down at some point. Okay, there we go. Maybe we'll get it now. Is there any chance of it focusing on it? This is what I hate about these cameras. It will focus on my face no matter what. But yeah, you see there's a bit of a dip in the tip. That's actually not a bad thing. You learn to use it and work with it. But yeah, if it gets totally messed up, that's a problem. I have a good experience with DaVinci brushes in particular. But yeah, I'm there's some human errors sometimes, and not all products are perfect. But yeah, it's interesting. If you have a good recommendation for AliExpress brushes, let me know. Just I have tons of brushes, honestly, but I'm interested if there's anything unique that can help me. But yeah, because I look at brushes more like what's the most useful? What do I need that's most useful? John, I remember your videos on finding the perfect reference is really helpful, as you covered that you could spend all day searching for one and miss out on actually painting. Yeah, that's true. I also have this kind of a lesson in the frustration-free watercolor course, if anyone's interested, on how to find good reference photos. Emotional support paintbrush. Liron, can you share your daily painting art routine? Yeah, I don't really have a routine. So as you have noticed, I have over 1,000 videos on my channel. I make a lot of content. So if I feel like a certain painting will be a good lesson and is a good thing for a YouTube video, I'll paint that. I'll wake up, decide I want to paint it, I'll paint that. If there is a scene that fascinates me from all of these tons of references I've kept over the years, usually I'll have a mood for a specific scene. Usually I'll have a mood for, I feel like painting an interior. I feel like painting just a car, something easy I'm familiar with. Or maybe one day I'll feel like painting a landscape. It doesn't happen as often, but it does happen. I want to just paint big washes that cover everything. Sometimes I'll be in the mood for a portrait. I have everything ready here. So I'll just do that. The thing usually is I'm an early kind of creative person. So even though if you just give me, if I were to go back to being a kid, by the way, was it, who said I did a similar thing with the sky? Was it T? I think. I don't remember. I think it was. Yes, you're actually correct. I did something similar with the clouds here. I was mistaken. I confused my own painting with a different one. You were right, actually. So yeah, the thing is, if you give me total freedom, you take me back to elementary school, to summer vacation. My natural mode when I'm like that, I'm a what do you call that? I'm a serious sloth. I can be a sloth. At least in the past, I was. I can wake up late, work till late too, by the way. I used to enjoy writing late in the day as well, but I don't know why. Today, it feels like if I want to get the freshest, best result, where I'm most creative, most like, so if I'm writing an article for a magazine, for example, on a watercolor instructional, or if I'm working on a book, or if I'm painting the highly creative, the most highly creative things I do best early on. So for example, editing a video, I can do late at night, no problem. I can do it in the afternoon. I can do when I'm tired. That's not a problem. That's not the kind of creative work I'm talking about. Because for me personally, the way I edit the videos, it's a different kind of creative. It's more of a just a thing I go through. It's usually very streamlined. But for painting, writing, stuff like that, the best time for me is early. So what I do try is to paint as early as possible. If I can start the day with a painting, that usually works best for me personally. I'd rather keep the lower level, lower mental capacity, more social stuff, like just replying to comments, posting stuff. I prefer to do that later if I can. So this would be my kind of daily routine. I'll do the most artistically, creatively demanding things early on if I can. I just find it works better and it's faster. It's much faster. I can crank out almost a full, like, some of the articles I work on, they don't necessarily take time, but they take the right, editing them can take time, but it takes the right kind of mental mode. And if I'm in that mode, I can write out almost all of it in one sitting in a couple of maybe 2 hours in the morning. Then editing it will take work. Painting the paintings will take work, the examples, the illustrations. But like I can get a lot done in a short period of time if it's that time of day. Indeed, it's a golden hour. Moscow Cowboy. Kamsi, I have hundreds of photos too from Thailand of wooden boats and some amazing rock faces in the national park. Also market scenes, motorbikes and stuff. Just wish my painting skills were better. Yeah, you know, again, you can produce beautiful paintings with less of skills. I think it's more about really following and exploring what interests you. For example, if you find a specific type of scene fascinating, you'll probably end up with a better painting. Where most people end up with not so good paintings is when they paint what they think they should paint rather than the thing that actually interests them. Now, my next point is actually interesting. The way your taste will change over time and the things you notice will change. So to me, in the beginning, I would notice very basic things, but as my artistic taste develops, I'm starting to maybe notice more of the nuances of scenes. Like this shoes scene, I would never have thought of painting it in the past. Or let me see, from Venice, for example, I have a couple of interesting things, right? This kind of a scene, when you look at the lower half of it, let me go extra large icons. When you look at the lower half, and this is one of my favorite paintings from recent times, I would be very timid with this kind of open area at the bottom. But I did notice that it's something that could work, and I ended up painting it, and it did work. And I think it's a really, really good one. So your taste and the things you notice will change. In the beginning, maybe you don't exactly know what you want to take a picture of, but the more you do it, the more you'll develop a taste for it. And it could be very small things. I don't think I have it here. Maybe I do. I have a picture of a cat that I took just sitting on a car. Yeah, it's this one, but I won't. Let me see if I can. I'll just show you the photo. Let me stop sharing. I want to show you just the photo as it is, because it's a fascinating one. I would have never thought of taking this kind of photo in the past. Yes, so if you look at, let me share it with you. I just want to show you the photo itself. Share screen, window, there we go. So this cat here, I really like the way the shadow falls on here, and that kind of mixed with the, not just to paint the cat, but to paint kind of the things around it, like the car. I really like the way here this blue is kind of interacting with the orange, right? And this is the kind of thing I would not notice in the past. So things change, scene preference changes. Another good example, actually, right here. Wait, let me share the folder with you again. Share screen, window, there we go. This scene is the perfect example as well. I would really shy away from scenes where this is all in the shadow. But then I did this one car that changed my mind completely about this. Let's see if I have it here. It's one painting that I'm very proud of. I want to upload it here. Let me see if I can find it. This is actually really interesting to me. Cars book, pics. Hopefully it's interesting to you too. Let's find it. It was one of the last ones. There we go. Car 93. So this car, to me, it's probably a huge file because I uploaded not the downsized one, but whatever. This changed everything to me. This is one of the first cards I painted that was completely in the shadow. There we go. And I don't know why. It's the first time the highlights are blue. You can see it here. You know, that it has, where's my hand? It has blue highlights. If you just follow this, you know, all the way to the license plate above. Of course, I changed all the numbers, but the highlights are blue. And that's the kind of thing. Usually the highlights are yellow. That was my first time doing this kind of a thing. And it changed my mind completely. And then it gave me this kind of, okay, understanding I can paint this kind of a thing with all of these highlights being blue, yellowy, even gray. It doesn't matter. Another painting that plays on that effect is this one. If you look at the card at the bottom, let me just, oops, almost hit end stream. Look at the card at the bottom. Blue and yellow highlights, but in the shadow. It's these kinds of things you whenever you paint something like that, not for the purpose of getting outside of your comfort zone. That's something I don't really believe in anymore. It's more for the purpose of testing something out, exploring something out. You end up being surprised, you know, by the things you feel like painting, you enjoy painting, and all of that. Indeed, the golden hour. Vespa, do you usually work on only one painting at a time, or do you have a couple going at the same time? You know, the more focused I am, I will work on one painting at a time, just because I like to, I enjoy usually what I paint, and I end up just taking it all the way to completion, which gives you an idea of where I'm at right now. I'm at the messiest I've been. I've been working on this one simultaneously with this one that came out kind of wacky, and I don't even know if I'll continue it. It's just work in progress. And with the portraits, so this large one is still work in progress. It's a larger version of the one I've shown you. Come on, are you going to focus? There we go. So I'm probably the messiest I've been in a while, because I've been working on probably 4 paintings simultaneously in recent weeks. Usually I'm not like that. Usually I do finish a painting, not because I force myself to sit down and complete it, just because my natural mode is I get pulled into a painting and I enjoy it, and I just end up liking it. So I don't jump into another one until I'm, you know, fully happy with it. That's just usually what happens. Yeah. I feel like sometimes cheaper ones are better, but highly unlikely. Skills are way more important things, I think. Tools are just tools. Yeah, it's true. As long as the tools don't work against you, that's the best. Moscow Cowboy, do you have a day job, or are you a full-time painter? I am a full-time painter. I'm going to be honest with you. The market is rough right now. So I've been looking at my analytics. Hopefully I won't have to get a day job, but I've been looking at my analytics and my links, because I have tracking codes on all my links. So for example, whenever I do a video on a, let's say, watercolor painting, and it's in the vein of painting freely, so I have a link to the frustration-free watercolor course, I can see how many clicks it gets. I get the same amount of clicks, but the sales are down, no doubt. And I'm talking to, you know, students and people in the niche, and it looks like the market is at a bit of a rough spot. You know, people don't want to spend as much right now on things they don't have to, which makes sense. I personally spend less on things I don't have to right now. But yeah, I don't have a day job. I've been doing this for about a decade. I started, well, yeah, you could say a decade. I started at the end of 2013. In 2015, I had a entry-level job at a high-tech company. I did technical support. I did that for a year, and then just art called to me, and I could not continue not pursuing it. And ever since then, ever since middle of 2016 is where up until now I've been full-time just painting, selling the courses, the books, the paintings, all of that. But this is probably the toughest the market has been for me so far. It looks like I'm not the only one, but this is the toughest it's been. I do hope it's not going to last for more than a year, because things will get rough. I am very diversified, so I make my money from selling, first and foremost, I would say the books and courses. That's the thing that historically worked best for me. And I know it when I got started. People want to, it's more likely you'll get people to buy something that answers a need, like I really want to paint, more than a painting that they hang up on the wall. Usually, especially in the more premium prices of original paintings. We're not talking about prints. And I knew that building a brand as an artist can take a while, but creating content that is useful to people, like videos, articles, and then books and video courses, is a more likely thing to work in the beginning. So that was the thing that historically worked best for me. But then I have another couple of streams. So I have the Patreon supporters. I have the YouTube ad revenue, which is, again, these are the main ones, are the highest percentage by far. But then like a lower percentage of the income, I don't know. I can't put an exact percentage of it, but it's like 10% and under probably. That would be, or maybe 20 in some cases, that would be the Patreon, YouTube ad revenue, that would be, and then selling the paintings. That has become a more prominent thing for me as I want to spend more time just painting and making my craft the best it can be, better and better, and ultimately the best it can be. Paintings take a more significant part of that, especially now that I started selling via the auction house. Here that has brought in, of course, a lot of sales. So that, but it like there was a build up towards that, right? I've built an audience. I've built my artistic taste. It has improved. My work is more sellable now than it was, a couple of years ago, for sure. So yeah, but and I still feel it. Like, so some streams of sales have been cut in half. And I'm grateful that it's not cut completely, because I am reading and hearing of people that have had this experience right now, people with an art business or something like that. To me, I'm hanging on. But yeah, it is rough. I don't know. Let me know if you can relate. I'm just generally people here. If you feel like the market's harder, whether it's you as a business entity or as a person who purchases stuff. Do you purchase or spend less money on things you don't have to, on, luxury items and luxury goods and things that aren't, a mandatory day-to-day life? I'm curious to hear. But yeah, I've been a full-time painter ever since. I'm super grateful for that. And again, I told you earlier, I got lucky in the sense that I really enjoy making content. I really enjoy making videos and communicating. That's a huge advantage. If you just enjoy painting and you absolutely hate filming yourself and filming the processes, that's a problem if you want to grow a collector's base. You can do it. I'm the last person to tell you can't. Just saying it's gonna be a little trickier. You can do just about anything. You can make the best art, and then people have to buy from you if they want it. But yeah. That's my long answer. We'll get to the relevant chats later. Sorry about that. I'm always delayed with the chat. John, when I can't think what to draw, I just draw what I'm bad at. So I'm not thinking and not drawing and cardboard. So you're not wasting the stuff you buy to paint on just to practice. Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, I'm far beyond practicing. I just paint whatever comes out. But yeah. I have produced a couple of pieces of trash lately that I just use the other side as test paper, and then I just rip it and throw it away. But that's still rare for me to produce something I don't even want to keep. Jacqueline, I love how you say to paint what interests you. That's what makes you a great artist. Of course, painting subjects that sell is okay, but make sure you approach it from your view. You know what I think at the end of the day, the artist sells. So if you go all in on exploring the things that interest you, what will end up happening is, with time, and I've seen it happen, people will buy into your vision. So it will start making sense for other people too. And from becoming that weird artist that paints things that people think nobody care about, or you even thought no one cares about, people will start buying into your vision, and it will become a thing that people seek out and enjoy. So for sure, painting what you love, that's the main thing. And you never know, right? You never know. And I'm going to talk about that too. I think I have a note here about that. Yeah. You never know like what your taste will look like and how it's going to develop. Let's say 5 years ago, I didn't know I'll enjoy cars so much. If you notice, I think about 5 years ago, I started painting way more cars. I didn't know I'm going to enjoy them this much. And then the car challenge came. It was 2 years, probably from 2022 or maybe even 2021 to 2024, 3-4. I had no idea I'm going to get there. You just explore and you find out. That's exactly where you find it out, by exploring without assuming. Canvas, that it's canvas. Oh yeah, I think you corrected that. Fiona, for me, when I take a reference photo, I take it, then change it into pop art. Cool. Yeah, that's something you can do too. And sometimes I'll enhance a photo to make it more interesting for me to paint, and sometimes the enhancement will happen physically on paper. Sometimes I'll enhance it in Photoshop, digitally, whatever, and sometimes the enhancement will happen as I'm painting it. It really depends on the specifics of the scene. It's very it's a matter of case by case, kind of on a case by case basis. It's very hard to determine in advance. Why is my mic driving me crazy now? Come on, stay in line. Cam C, thank you so much for your hints and tips. I've taken them all on board. Do you have an online painting class you teach? I want to join up. So I have courses. I don't really do like live classes. Maybe I would. Could be fun. But I'm just doing this here on YouTube for free on the live stream, so I don't see much of a reason I could do that. Let me know if you're interested. I have asked this before, and I remember there was some kind of a discussion on a live stream. But yeah, I have the courses. Check it out. Everything, all the links are in the description box. But yeah, if you're interested in more of a live thing, let me know. I'm curious. Vespa, so you have to have tremendous patience if working on only one at a time to let layers dry, etc., before you continue with the brush water paint. Honestly, I'm not as patient as you would think. I put the painting out. We have a nice balcony right now. I'm putting it out there to dry in the sun. It happens really fast. I'll use a hairdryer. Usually it's not a problem. The waiting is not a problem. The problem is sometimes I'm not sure what to do after the wait. And things do get tricky. Sometimes you want to be able to think faster, not in the sense of planning necessarily, but just the intuition. Sometimes it just needs time to cook. I'll need to take a break from a painting to really see it for what it is and know where I want to take it. That's when, okay, when will I work on more than one painting in one go? For example, when I worked on Ponte Vecchio, it's a huge painting. You need to take a break from it just to see it. You need a rest from it. And I'm sure you are all familiar with it, but in case someone isn't, it's this one. It's a huge painting, as you can see here, 240 by 70. This painting took so long, about a month of on and off work, that at some point you have to take a break, and you see the ugly stage in slow mo. That's the crazy thing. It's really, you see it in slow motion fully. The painting will be in an ugly stage for weeks, not just hours. In that patience and all of that. So when I do that, when I work on a huge piece, a special piece, something that I take step by step very slowly. By the way, this one was a bit like that too, but it's small, obviously. That's when I will work on more than one painting, because I need to, to refresh myself while I'm working on this very long, complex glazes type of work. I'll crave something that's more direct, that's more free, that's more loose, and then I'll end up doing something like that simultaneously. That definitely happens. Jacqueline, do you approach galleries or just stick with the auctions? The auction house is practically a gallery. I did have my paintings in some galleries, in several galleries of the same. It's one company that had a few galleries. They closed most of their locations during COVID, I think. They returned paintings that weren't sold to artists. I sold maybe 2 paintings through them, I think, maybe 2. I'm not approaching new galleries right now. I have I have nothing against it. If a gallery approached me and they want to put the paintings, for sure, yeah, if they were good, and I know their pricing would make sense, I would definitely put it there. I'm not actively doing it. I find a lot of galleries aren't carrying my type of work. It's more pop art, abstract, modern stuff that I just don't. They usually don't want to carry my work, and that's fine. But yeah, I could probably make another concerted effort, find a couple of others, approach them, and sell through them for sure. Maybe I should do that. Do you do craft shows? So I'm not sure what you mean by craft shows. If it's something like an art fair, I did for about half a year. it was nice, but and I sold quite a lot of paintings through it here in Tel Aviv, but it was so time consuming. It would be twice a week from I would have to go there about 6 a.m., something like that, 7 a.m., 6:30 a.m. I would be there usually, and it would end around 5 p.m. And I just didn't have enough time to make videos, to work on my own stuff. It was hard, so I quit after a couple of months. And we also did that was when we went for our New York vacation, so I knew I won't be there for a month, and it just made sense to stop there. Yeah. Kempsey, you're hanging on because you're so good with this stuff and you take the time to help us. Yeah, you know what? My motto is it's always been, it's my natural mode of being, I'm going to put as much as I can out there, whatever returns. Some people watch the videos for years. They don't even know I have like a course for sale because usually my hooks are so gentle. That's just how I am. I'll do a full video and then at the end I'm like, and if you want to learn how to do this, check out the course. Only in the recent 2 years, I would say, I became better at starting the video by mentioning that there's the course, check it out. Now on to the process. But yeah. Jacqueline, my commissions are already more than the total of last year, so I'm grateful. Awesome. So you're doing well. I've heard from a lot of people the complete opposite, so that's really good. And I think if you have a good environment around you of family, friends of friends that order and do commissions, then you're pretty stable. That's a good thing. That's a really good thing. Moscow Cowboy, economy is rough for everyone right now. Grateful for your art to keep us positive. Yeah, exactly. And it was the same during COVID. I remember in COVID where everyone was stuck at home, I was like, I'm going to post more videos. I'm going to try and do more than usual. And funny enough, that's when some of the more successful videos ended up coming from. And people have commented all the time that they're stuck at home, everything is boring, they feel isolated, and that was the main thing that kept them really positive, just the videos. And I was blown away that the fact that I can, with my little world of watercolor, do that to people. That was really that made me really happy. Marjorie, disposable income is directly related to inflation. Artwork seems to be a great indicator of economics. It was very evident at shows through the last 50 years. Yeah, and you know what's funny? The art market is fragmented for sure. So the people who buy stuff from me are just, I guess, normal people who want to learn how to paint. They have disposable income that they can spend on that. Some are wealthier than others. I do get the range. I know that for some of my students and customers, I know some people have really good high-paying jobs, some people have good businesses, and some people are just, normal middle class, I would say, and some lower middle class, some even, I would say, I'm pretty sure I have followers and even customers who are around and below poverty line. At the end of the day, it's not like the courses, the $29 is doable, even if you save up for it, for people who are really on a tight budget. But yeah, so that's one type of market. And then there's the art market. The art market with paintings that sell for hundreds of thousands and millions and multiple millions. These kinds of parts of the art market tend to do really well in recessions because art historically has been able to retain its value. So if you're an artist that's in that part of the market, if you're one of the very rare few that have gotten there, and we can talk about how to get there. That's a separate topic. A lot of it is who you know, of course, not necessarily the quality of art. There's a lot of artists who make very high quality of art, very unique, the peak of their craft, but others that sell for millions and aren't as skilled. It doesn't really matter the skill at this level. But that's kind of a different market that really, I don't know which one you meant, but you probably meant all of them. That's a very different type of market. The high premium art market is doing really well, I think, right now as well in a recession. Jacqueline, your video will have to be titled Jacqueline's Questions Answered. Yeah, maybe I should just post a video like that, a compilation of all of Jacqueline's questions and my answers. That would be funny. John, does your Rubik's Cube tell the same on how to, but something in the background? Because I want to put a mountain in the background. Background. Yeah, sorry. I just don't know where the right place is. So I'm not sure what you mean by Rubik Cube. If you mean like how to construct shapes and where to place them in terms of composition, yeah. You know, John, you just experiment. So again, this thing here, I place these lines in. They're a mess. They shouldn't be on the cloud. You won't know where the perfect placement for the mountain is. To me, it's very straightforward. I look at the picture and I paint it. But if you're painting from imagination, which I really have great appreciation to, because I don't do much of that, yes, you decide where the mountain goes. You just place it there, and you will learn with time what you enjoy. The thing where I think most people miss is they don't realize that they're the god of their own creation when it comes to art, and you have the complete freedom to play stuff on a whim, not even do it carefully. Just place it there, see what it looks like, decide you hate it, and do it differently the next time. That's where I usually approach these things. And it looks wrong is very much a matter of, again, your own very personal taste. That's how I see it, at least. I hope that makes sense. Laura, while on vacation last week, I was lucky enough to visit 5 different art galleries. Very inspiring, but disappointed that there was not one single watercolor. Yeah, they're rarer to see. There was one gallery here that carried paintings that are similar to mine in style, not subject matter. It was a lot of landscapes, but it was oil paintings it's an Israeli artist who sells a lot abroad too, and his work was beautiful. I forgot his name. He's Australian as well as like Israeli Australian. I forgot his name, but his art was wonderful. And I think I reached out to that gallery, but they weren't interested back in the day. And you know what? Honestly, my art is much, much better now than it was back then. So I think maybe if I approach a few now, it would be different. It's a very weird, it's a very strange business, it's almost like socializing. You meet the right people and it will just work. If your art is a good match, it's good enough, it's the right kind of style and all of that. If your art is a good match, and if you're personally familiar with someone who's like a friend or a friend of a friend, and your art is only tangentially related, they will connect you to the right person, or they will maybe try something different because it's you. So it's a very much social kind of dynamics of who you know, and an artist can decide to try and work in that direction, to just try and get their art to sell in places that sell for higher prices, for higher premiums, and just play that game and sell 1 piece a month or 2 paintings a year, right? If you sell it for a high enough of a price, that's a full-time income. So you can decide to just go for that. And if you know the right people, and if you have the charisma and the people skills to do it, it can work. It is, I will admit, it's something I have not explored enough. And it's something I hope to explore more in the future. But because I enjoy so much sharing it, that's the kind of natural path I took, just to almost become like a full-time content creator, honestly. And the art is kind of a thing that supports that. So yeah, it's interesting to think about these things. Moscow Cowboy, you're much more personable than many other painters on YouTube. Yeah, very early on, I decided I'm not like, the way you see me is pretty much how I am. I think you see the best version of me because I can get cranky and I can be angry at stuff, but I have no reason to do that here. But in my personal life, yes, I can get down very easily about things. When things don't go my way, I can be a real biatch sometimes, to not to others necessarily, to myself. So yes, you see the best of me, but it's pretty much like that's how I talk. That's how I am. So I can't fake it. I think it's very tiring. Halburn, hey, hope you're doing well, my friend. Thank you so much for being here. That's a really nice streak we got here, right? Almost every live stream. Much appreciate you being here. We're talking about reference photos. For anyone who joined in Halburn as well, if you haven't seen taking reference photos, I talked a bit about how I do it. I always take pictures of stuff wherever I am. My taste has developed over the years. I have tons of folders. I'm going to go back to that in a second. Show you. I have tons of folders organized very OCD-ly, if that's the right terminology. And yeah. O prime 15. Other than being picky with what commissions you take, what can I do to mitigate the drained loss of motivation I'm able to paint for weeks after feeling that follow commissions? Interesting. Yeah, that's a good question, because if you really, it's a question of, is it worth the money? Because if you make enough of it, you'll grit your teeth, and it's still better than doing something you completely hate, or having a day job you dislike. Sometimes that perspective can really play with you, because I don't know, I'm not sure if you're also, working part-time or full-time in addition, but like when you do something you really dislike, then you realize how much pretty much everything related to art is on a completely different level. With that said, I do understand what you're saying. I've gone through it a couple of times. Being able to be picky is already a good position to be in. That's usually how I am. I'll try and take commissions of only things. I barely do any commissions, like once a year, of only painting things that I would have wanted to paint regardless. That's how I usually do it. So that's being picky to the max. If it could be just a painting of mine that I would do any other, even without the commission, then it's a perfect kind of job. But yeah, if you're kind of compromising and you need the money, and even if it's a small compromise, I know it can affect it. First off, you don't have to just work on the commission. You can, just like I talked earlier, working on a large painting can be draining as well. So you take a break and you paint something you love, right? That's another thing. I think the client has a big impact on it, depending on how they are. So if you're compromising on the subject and matter and the type of thing you paint, my stomach's rumbling. Maybe it comes through the mic. Sometimes I go through. I'm so busy. I work. I forget I'm hungry. But I'll eat right after the stream. We're actually going out, so go to a restaurant. And I think I did eat like 2 hours ago. So I don't know why I'm rambling now. So I would say, even let's say you compromise on the subject matter just a bit. The thing is, if the client is someone you know, or someone you have a really good communication with, that could help mitigate that. So I think even more than being picky on the painting, which I don't know what you meant. I'm not sure what you meant by saying it, but maybe you meant being picky with the clients too. But I think being picky with the client is very important too. That's huge to me. I don't want to work with someone I don't enjoy working, and I'm at a very fortunate position, where I can afford to be very, very picky with the commission. So only people I enjoy working with, only people who are respectful. That's pretty much all I need, right? If someone's respectful, they don't have to be fun or very talkative, but if they're respectful, if they are familiar with your work and they know what you enjoy creating regardless, and painting things that you'd actually would have painted regardless of the commission. That's what I would say. And mixing it up and working on your own stuff while doing commissions, alternating between the two if you have to. I haven't been in the situation where I'm unable to paint for weeks after. That sounds to me like you, in this specific example, maybe took a commission you really shouldn't have taken. Again, I don't know the situation, right? Maybe it was really important to do that. There's a lot of factors that go into that. But I think that's a big red flag for next time. That's kind of my thoughts. Hopefully it helps. I know it's pretty much the obvious stuff, but yeah, that's the best I can do with that, I think. Moscow Cowboy, I'm dreaming of a career in watercolor, but I rarely see them in galleries. It seems the acrylic and oil paintings tend to get more attention, perhaps due to vibrancy. It's not a vibrancy thing. It's more of a brand thing. Watercolor has the brand of doesn't last as well. It's behind glass, blah, blah, blah. People see it as inferior, not in an artistic sense, but as a product. So don't take it personally. People just feel like watercolor as a product is inferior. I see it changing in the future gradually. It has been changing. I think if you make art that is really one of a kind, the only way to get it's beautiful, it's unique, it's special, you're the best at your craft, it will have to change. People will just appreciate the art. With that said, I'm sure there are plenty of watercolors in plenty of galleries. They're less common, but they're there. You can say that, generally speaking, more traditional art is less common, and a lot of galleries are more of the pop art, modern art, abstract art, which is fine, you know. But yeah, I wouldn't assume that your art won't be able to get into a gallery because it's watercolor. Instead, I would try and actually make it there, which this live stream gives me some kind of a motivation to try, maybe. Halbern, have you ever tried photoshopping a reference image for watercolor? Yes, and I don't mean just color correction. Yes, I have. I talked about it before. First off, it's interesting, you know, this painting is about A3 size. So that would be more than A4, twice the A4. This one is 11 by, I would guess, 16, something like that, 11 by 16 inches. How do I scan these kinds of paintings? I put them in the scanner in parts, because my scanner is A4, like most scanners. I place one half, and then I rotate, and I place the other half. And then I use photo merge on Photoshop. The reason I'm saying that photo merge is an automatic process, maybe you're familiar with it, but I'm sure not everyone here is. It's a process that when you have a bunch of photos, like a panoramic view, and there is some, I forgot the word for that. You know what I mean. Overlap. There's overlap. It can automatically merge it together. The reason I'm mentioning this is because I mentioned earlier, I'll snap multiple photos of the same scene because sometimes I like the way people are placed, but maybe the cars aren't perfect. So I wait for the perfect car to go by and then I take the photo. So I'll have the exact same angle of the place with my phone. I take the photos, and just different people or cars in it. And then what you can do is place them one over the other in Photoshop and mask out parts you don't want and bring out parts you do want. Because you took the photo from the same angle, it's very easy to do. That's something I'll sometimes do. Get rid of a person, put another person instead. I've shown this in my folders that I have here. Where was it? Here. So there's a photo. There's a batch of photos. This says woman in green because the way she's placed here on the crosswalk is perfect. So I wanted this car, sorry, in this angle, but I wanted her here, and here she's not even showing in the crosswalk, right? So I'll snap multiple photos of the same kind of scene. I need this. This was all of my things are already painted. So I would snap multiple photos of the same scene, use masking, different tools like that. Now, if you talk about actually painting digitally over them, that's something I have not experimented with enough. That's something I haven't really done so far. Like actually painting digitally and adding it to the scene and completely modifying it, that's something I don't think I've ever done. Maybe I have, maybe I haven't. I'm not sure, honestly. But yeah, I'm not sure. From what I remember, that's not something I've done so far. Oops, I have a mess. I have too many windows open on my computer. Dwayne, my friend, how are you? It's been a while. Good day. Sorry, I'm late. Good to see you, Liron. Very good to see you as well. By the way, Halbern, I wanted to ask, do you use Photoshop more extensively? Do you use it for editing photos to make them better for, I don't know, sketching, painting? Let me know. You got it, John. Let's go, Cowboy. Have you ever explored pumping up your watercolor with acrylic inks? I'm trying to develop my style, and I want it to be really vibrant. No, I haven't. Well, I have experimented with adding acrylics to my watercolors, just for things that are very hard to, I guess, to capture. Some colors that are very hard to mix, but not enough. I should probably do more of that. Now, let me check something here real quick. My apologies. So yeah, that's something I haven't really done so far enough of. There we go. Sorry about that. And you know, the times I have used acrylics, because I'm not an acrylic painter, I had just some cheap random acrylic brand that wasn't as good. It wasn't as opaque as I'd want it to be. And I ended up needing multiple layers. The result wasn't as good. I may have, yeah, you can see it here. The yellow car, you see the more vibrant yellow to the right. You can see it here beyond the taillight. That was done with acrylics, that yellow that stands out. And I needed to do multiple layers of this yellow, and it still was a little too transparent for my taste. It wasn't really working for me, even though I liked the end results. Funny enough, seeing it after years, or after years of not looking at it, and editing the book, I really, because this is from the car book. But I don't know, acrylic inks, are they more opaque? Because that would be interesting if they are. I may check it out. I also thought about using, the watercolor drops that are more concentrated. I really need to do some exploration beyond just my small niche. Halburn, in where I live, watercolor galleries are commonplace. I'm lucky to be able to enter a job immersion under a senior architect who is the head of the region's watercolor society. Now, that is really cool. That is a great opportunity. Appreciate it, Liron. I just have enough free time as of recent now that I'm finishing my architecture thesis. Cool, that's fun. Architecture, I don't know if it's a tough business everywhere. Here locally, it's a very hard business. It's almost like being an artist in the way it's structured, that you can either, you can work for a firm that is highly regarded, but the pay will be really bad. You'll get good pay when you work on the most boring projects. When you work on the most interesting ones, you will get really bad pay. It's very strange here. It's a tough business. Like being a lawyer is a tough business here too. There's a lot of competition. There's a lot of competition, and very few make most. And I think in art it's the same. A lot of professions, it's more evenly distributed, but it gets very extreme in architecture here too. So I'm happy that you're at a good spot there. It's really, really good. I've been reached out to by someone. It was a while ago, but it didn't go anywhere. They wanted my help with architectural paintings. They didn't have enough time to do an architecture office, and they were wondering if I could do some sketches for them. And the style would actually work for me, but I don't know. I don't remember. I think it fizzled out at some point, the email correspondence. But it was interesting. And I've never thought of doing something like that, but I don't know. It was fun, and I love painting buildings, so I don't mind. And it's with watercolor, of course. That's the thing. So yeah. Marjorie, will you be doing another interview or collaboration with another YouTuber? Yes, if the right person comes along. As Moscow Cowboy mentioned, I'm the most personable. My experience with other artists has been really good. They're very, what's the word for it? They're respectable. They're very kind. They're very generous as well. But I've yet to find another artist who I mesh with really well, like to do a joint format even together, like to do a weekly show together live. There's just not many, definitely not in the more traditional art niche, more maybe in the digital niche, but around watercolor for sure not. Most artists are very YouTube and making lessons is an afterthought, or it's like a small thing of what they're doing. So it's very hard to find, and it's a matter of age as well. Everyone I did interviews with, and like I did a joint live stream with Steve Mitchell, The Mind of Watercolor. That was wonderful. But sometimes the age gap, I think younger people are more oriented toward live streams and a lot of communication. And sometimes people that are more established or older people aren't into that as much. And, I can only wish when I'm, for example, Steve's age, to be as active and as digitally immersed, right? But I do think it's hard to find. And I've talked to some people and some people who are looking for who want to market their product using influencers in the watercolor world. And one thing they mentioned, it's very hard to get to young people. And for example, my YouTube analytics are really good in that regard. I have a big chunk of the audience is younger, but it's kind of an older niche in a way, and I enjoy it. I don't want to change a niche just to have more people like me, but whatever. It's hard to find someone who meshes well on a conversation you can just laugh with and talk about stuff with. And that's fine. That is fine. Maybe that's my uniqueness. I'm not sure. But talking about, other interviews or collaborations, for sure. Yeah, definitely. If someone comes along, I'm at a point where I'm not going to chase it really. But if someone reaches out and their art is interesting enough and I feel like there's something good to talk about there, yes, I will be like, yeah, sure, definitely. Conversational style, for sure. Interviews are a little harder, but yes, definitely. Interviews, I have to get prepared and I have to do some research because I don't want to ask the same questions that have been asked before, obviously. But yeah, definitely would. And if you have any suggestions, of course, feel free to send them here or email them to me for sure. T, it's 11 p.m. over. And by the way, if you want me to talk to someone, you can reach out to them and have them ask me. That would give even better odds of it happening. T, it's 11 p.m. here in Australia. What time is it on your side? Right now, it is 4 p.m. here. We're like the worst opposites when it comes to time zones. Yeah, we're GMT +2, if I'm not mistaken. So yes, it is 4:20 p.m. It's a strange time difference for sure. So yeah, this is my like before I really zone out for the weekend. This is the last kind of work-related thing I usually do. Maybe I'll get some work done afterwards if I'm really busy, but usually it's the live stream and then it's the weekend is starting for me. You got it, O Prime. Happy to answer, and feel free to ask any follow-ups, of course. Jacqueline, arts and craft shows are very time-consuming for sure. I only do 5 a year. That's a lot. But that's where because usually if it's a big event, you get ready for it. It's like a whole production thing. I do much better talking to people in person. Not sure if my online presence conveys as well. Yeah, and I think, you're not the only one in that boat. A lot of people do better when it's very more personal. I think I had this advantage in the local art fair here because my English was better than most artists there, and I'm very communicative. So I think most of my sales came from being very talkative to people, and they would always be surprised, like, oh, someone can actually speak English. Even if I have a weird, awkward accent sometimes, at least the words I say they sound familiar to native speakers. So yeah. I get it completely, and if that's a strength of yours in person, by all means, I'm sure many people make their full-time income from art shows and craft shows and different fairs. Yes, for sure, and conventions. That's very common. Pop culture conventions, whatever around Star Wars and Comic-Con, stuff like that, manga cons, HaruCon we have here. So yeah, for sure. Let's see. Unica, painting is kind of therapeutic, other things aside. However, to post a video to increase outreach requires a lot of what seems like hassle to me with editing, etc. How do you make yourself do it? The answer is I don't make myself do it. It's very fun for me. So it takes zero effort, really. It's the easiest thing in the world. In the beginning, it was more challenging technically. I didn't know how to edit videos. I didn't know how to do different things, but I seeked out these skills because it was fun for me. So if anything, I don't make myself do it. And if you're asking yourself how to make myself do it, you don't really need to make yourself do it. That's the thing. That's the way I see it, at least. Oh, by the way, hey, Jaybu, I haven't seen you. Sorry. Thank you so much for being here. Oops, why am I delayed? Okay, there we go. So yeah, that's my take on it. I pretty much don't do anything that I have to make myself do. That has been a key for me for longevity in my business. To me, the thing you say to increase reach, I don't do it to increase reach. Maybe I started because I thought that's what I'm doing, but I'm doing it because I enjoy it, and because I like communicating around my art. So yeah, it does have the byproduct of increasing reach. But if you do it just to increase reach, usually it will come through and it won't do as well. Which it shouldn't, because it's not as fun for you, and you shouldn't do it if it's not. There are plenty of other ways to reach people. Sorry, there we go. Laura, do you ever delete reference photos that you acquired a long time ago that you now realize that you will not paint? It does happen. It's very rare, but usually it's when my taste is vastly different that I don't see any scenario in the future where I'm going to paint it. So yes, but what I usually do, and I've shown you, sorry, I stopped sharing the screen, is I'll create a folder that's like done or something like that. Even if I painted a scene and I like it and I feel like maybe I'll paint it in the future, I don't delete it. I keep it. But if storage becomes an issue, maybe I'll get rid of some stuff. But for now, I have so many external hard drives to back up everything. My courses, my video, everything is backed up. Just the YouTube videos I don't back up because they take, or maybe I do. No, I actually do. I have backup of everything. have a backup of everything. Jabu, have you taken pictures inside or outside the drone? I actually do both. Let me show you. And this will maybe carry us to the next point here. Let's see here. When do I have to go? By the way, let me just make sure. Yeah, we're good. We have time. We have plenty of time. Where's my stream here? There we go. Share screen. There we go. I have a folder for interiors because I've been really enjoying them. So this I considered an interior in the beginning. There's a new one from my new New York folder. Where is it? New York. This one that I want. Oh yeah, you can see the zoomed in version, but you can see it here. Best waiter. I wrote down best. This is one that is the best for showing the waiter, and I'll probably use this one because this is the best zoomed out. I told you I'm writing descriptive notes on everything, so I would use this one, but I'll place the waiter the same way he's placed here. I'll place him here, and I'll add like an apron. That's for sure. I know I'll probably do. So yeah, I'm definitely taking photos both inside, outside. It's funny. I didn't know how well the interior restaurant paintings will do. Those are the paintings that have done the best in the auctions here. It looks like people are very interested in those. So things like bistro here. Sorry, this is the painting, and of course OCD. And there's this one with my friend. I didn't know how well they're going to do, and because they've done so well, I have devoted more time to taking photos inside of restaurants and to really try and capture that same quality. Because I enjoy these scenes, and it seems like they do well. That's an example of going with the market, but also not like forcing myself to paint something I hate. Sorry, read that. Karen, what type of computer do you use for your photos? So I have a pretty decent, strong computer. I have, what is it? What processor is it? It's a PC. I used to use a Mac, but now my needs have changed. It is where do I see this? I don't even know. Where do I see like system information? This PC. I don't even know, but I have a really strong processor, the kind you'd use for video editing while 3D modeling while playing a video game. That's the kind of processor I have. And I have a GeForce RTX, I think it's 3080, my graphics card. So I have a strong setup because video editing takes a lot of resources, and also 4K. If you're editing 4K, and it's still sometimes slow. So I have a very strong setup. I have a lot of storage space. I'm looking into the computer, the box. I don't know what you'd call that. I have a special liquid cooling thing going on there. So yeah, I have a good setup. A very strong PC. The Mac has become impossible to work with. It's not fast enough at all. It was a MacBook Pro. They're supposed to be strong, but they're definitely not as strong as a good PC. My setup, I think, when I purchased it at the time, including, let's say, without the monitors, because I have 2 monitors, it cost around the equivalent of, I guess, it's not super expensive for like high-end PCs, but it was about $2,500, I would say, something like that, for the setup without the monitors, if I'm not mistaken. Vespa, so you mostly sketch before painting, and you use your computer monitor to sketch onto the watercolor paper? Yes, that's pretty much how I do it. I have pretty large monitors. It's, I don't know, like 27 inches, I think it's considered. Yeah, I place the paper on it. For practical purposes, I want to get the most accurate sketch, and I want to do it the fastest I can, because my interest is in the painting. Now, sometimes I'll feel like sketching from observation will yield a better result because it makes me more familiar with the process. I have mentioned this one was not traced. This one I have painted from observation, and it paid off, because sometimes if I have a good grasp of the big shapes, I enjoy sketching them. I do enjoy sketching, and it's still something I do just for fun, to sketch from observation. Like if I'm working on anatomy or construction 3D perspective, I will sketch from observation. It happens on a fairly regular basis, once every week or once every 2 weeks. Not a lot, because I mostly paint again. But yes, that's my go-to. That's how I usually do it. The fastest, the best thing that works for me. Sometimes when you don't scan, no, so scanning is scanning the painting. That's a different thing. But the sketch, I just place on the monitor and paint. Halburn, yes, been using both Photoshop and Illustrator for my project renders, mood boards and presentations. That's fun. Mood boards, that's fun. So yeah, and by the way, hey Mandy, I see you. Haley, we're gonna get to your messages. Sorry, it just takes time to get through all of them. Hey Melanie, I don't think I've seen you earlier. Yeah, that's fun. Illustrator, I have zero experience with. I have experience with Photoshop, InDesign, Premiere Pro, and that's pretty much it. Jabu, what kind of printer are you using? I'm using an HP DeskJet 3834. By now it's a pretty old model, but it does the job. I usually don't print, I scan more. But we are using the printer now a bit more than usual, but usually the main use is for scanning, honestly. But it does a good job. HP DeskJet, it's called Ink Advantage 3835. That's the one. It's a very cheap one. We actually got it for free. A local company was giving it away because they purchased new ones. They put a Facebook message, hey, if anyone wants to pick it up. We just went and grabbed it. Jacqueline, yes, I want to get a good printer for my art that I can make prints from. Yeah, that's a different deal. So this one won't be good for that. I'm at a point where it would be much more effective, honestly, to go with a printing place. Just go there and print what I need. But yeah, if you're doing a lot of that, and if you're doing art conventions and different stuff like that, you're selling prints there, for sure, it could be worth investing. Yes. Melanie, hey, how are you doing, by the way? I haven't seen you in a while, I think. Thank you so much for your time and sharing your talent. We're so grateful. Thank you for being here. And thank you for your support. You've been very supportive of my work. Thank you so much. Marjorie, loved the interview with Steve Mitchell. Yeah, that was fun. And Steve is the kind of guy that I can just, I emailed him and I was like, I have an idea for a live stream. I asked my viewers what their biggest art struggles are. And I think it would be cool to have someone to bounce ideas off of and do it live and talk about, people's art problems. That was really fun. And Steve is the kind of guy I could just email, tell him that's the idea I got. Let's do it this time. Suggested a time. He suggested a time. We found the best time that worked for both of us, and just spontaneously, not too much preparation, nothing really needed, just reading the questions and answering them. That was really fun. That's the kind of format that would work. I think maybe I should do another one of these, maybe with Steve, maybe with someone else too. It's fun when you can do it kind of lighthearted like this. Don't need preparation. You don't need to talk about, what can we talk about? What can we talk about? I haven't had that experience. I know from other people that in different niches, you can just get to it. And Steve is definitely that kind of guy. So that was fun. Any watercolor podcasts you like? Not really. I don't listen to much. I have listened to a few with Joseph Zbukvich and Alvaro Castanet for my own kind of learning purposes. But not really. Not because I don't like them. I just don't really listen to many podcasts in general right now. But yeah. And not art podcasts for sure. I listened to some in the past more, but yeah. Halburn, oh yeah, architecture is aggressive and tough. We're balancing the marriage of and warfare between the technical and aesthetic aspect of a building project. It's crazy, but you'll get used to it. Yeah, I get it. Yes. I think if you enjoy that kind of a thing, it's so fun. It's a bit artistic, a bit designish, very practical, all of it together. It sounds fun. Unica at 7 p.m. in India. Cool. Yeah, my live streamers are pretty good. They're a good match for India, I think. India is huge. Maybe you have a few time zones. I'm not sure, but yeah. Jacqueline, I should be working on a few commissions right now. One is on a baseball, so I have to prep the surface. I'm pretty quick, though. Yeah, go ahead and do that if you want to listen while you're doing that. If you don't, that's fine. And I'm so happy, by the way, you have a lot of commissions. That's good. It's really, really good. John, I'm in Ohio. It's 9:24 a.m., and I know someone from Australia from it's 11 p.m. the next day. Yeah, that's a trip. The fact that Australia gets the future faster, that's always funny to me. And it's funny how, sometimes it affects releases of movies and video games. I think some video games end up releasing earlier in Australia because of that. So yeah, it's crazy. Ryan, hey, how are you doing, my friend? Good morning, afternoon to everyone. Just logged on now, so I'll have to watch the replay. I have some reference photos I took for you, some with white magnolias from public. I'm not sure what it is, but cool. Thank you so much. Feel free to send them over. I still have the previous ones you sent. Oh man, I need to get. I've been working on so many projects simultaneously now that I just haven't gotten enough time to paint for myself. Honestly, that was finally something I was able to paint for myself. And you know what's funny? So I have another point here that says it's very hard to know what will end up as a good painting. Sometimes I'll see a photo and I'll think to myself, because we're talking about taking good reference photos today, I will think to myself, wow, that's going to be a perfect painting. I end up painting it and it's bad. And it's not my fault. It's just I don't like it. That can happen sometimes. And some references, some photos you'll take can take years to cook until they're suitable. This is the perfect example. Again, cars that are fully in the shadow, something I would be scared of in the past. And now I was just browsing through my phone's camera roll, and I saw the photo, and I thought to myself, man, I really feel like painting it. That is the maturation and change and development of taste. That's just how it is. And things you maybe feel like irk you right now won't in the future. For me right now, portraits are a bit like that. I feel like I just don't. It has to be a really unique portrait, like the one I've shown you of that woman, for me to enjoy it. It has to feel very non-generic. Otherwise, I feel like it's generic, But that's my taste again. Mandy, hey again. No worries about being late. That's fun. We've gone. This live stream is going. It is going on. It's good. It's not a super short one. There's a lot to talk about. Marjorie, the art shows that used to be well attended, such as the Lily Ponds and Sonnenberg Gardens, don't seem to be well attended, or as many participants as they were in the past. Yeah, that's just how it is. Things change. Art used to be way more integral to people's lives, and now it's a niche. Art as a whole is a niche. Aside from the the premium high-end art market, which is still a niche too, by the way, but just a bigger one. Art is still a niche, it's not as in the past. And I would say it's not the only thing that turned into a niche. Music turned into a niche too. Music was huge, and now it's a niche. And I think cinema is becoming less and less relevant. Everything is on demand, social media. The kids, old me, are on TikTok. They don't watch as many movies. They do, but not as much, So yes, it's a niche, and that's fine. And it's going to be very relevant to some and zero relevance to others. But yeah, you can look at it as it's a shame. And I do think to some extent it is a shame, but what can you do? Lee, some reference photos with buildings are distorted, i.e. slanting buildings. Do you paint exactly slanting or slanted or straightening them? Thanks. Yeah, that's a great question. That happens due to perspective. For things to look real for me, I usually paint them slanted as they are visually. There's a reason they look like that, and I find that it can look very unnatural if you don't include it. That's what I find from my personal experience. Yours may vary. To me, when for example, the farther buildings are, the less of an issue it is, right? It usually happens when you look up at a building and you're close to it. So these lines, for example, are perpendicular, parallel to the side of paper, and same on the other side. But very often, and you can see it with a lot of my paintings, the slanting is quite important. So usually what I will do now, sometimes if you take a wide photo and you'll see the buildings kind of falling in, slanting inward, and if I zoom in on one part of the photo and everything is slanted, that's when I'll straighten it out. That's when I will straighten it out. I can actually show you an example. It's actually an interesting topic. So let me see if I have a good one. It has to be a wide scene. Yeah, here we go. We have a good one. So let me share my screen. I'll show you exactly what I mean by that. So just give me a second. Stop screen present, share screen, Photoshop. So let's say I have this block of buildings, a picture I took, right? Now let's say I paint it all. I'm going to paint it slanted and all. But let's say I only care about this section right here, maybe even with the car. It's going to feel quite ridiculous to paint it this way, right? And of course, this usually doesn't happen. I don't usually paint something like this. But if I were to paint this section, yes, I would go ahead and kind of straighten it out and paint it maybe more straightened out. Yes, that will happen. But for the most part, I don't have to, because I don't run into this kind of scenario often. So yes, but again, it's a good observation too that things are slanted. Many people miss that, by the way. Good on you. Unica, thanks for the answer. And I do like it and like sharing my work, but sometimes I guess it's a learning curve and a bit disheartening when converting does not do justice to the work. Yeah, you mean when you post a video or you mean, yeah, I thought you meant when there's not enough reach, but we say it doesn't do justice to the work, like the painting doesn't look the same or like as good as it could look. I don't know, I'm not sure. Maybe I missed something. Let me make sure. But yeah, I get it, you know. There's no need to do something you don't enjoy, generally speaking, I think. Some things are a part of life, but mostly not. You don't have to. Marjorie, is there a better time of day to take reference photos? That would really depend on your taste. I personally like strong sunlight, so morning, noon, maybe early evening, you get some nice cast golden light cast on the... But, you know, I've painted night scenes before as well, and some of them turned out really nice as well. So, yeah. After seeing your paintings of restaurant kitchens, I wanted to get photos in my daughter's pub. Only good one I have is her at the bars setting drinks on fire. Any suggestions for interior photos? Yeah, what I would do, you'll never know. That's exactly my point from earlier. You won't really know what is gonna make for a good painting. So what I would do is go there, take a bunch of photos, or anywhere you want, take a bunch of photos, you know, vertically, horizontally, all formats. You'll find the one that will work. And you can even combine, as I talked before. You can have your daughter, one photo where she's there, but maybe the other photo you like the background better, and kind of merge the two together. That's what I would do, you know. But generally speaking, getting a composition that is good looking is really a matter of playing with it and figuring out your taste. So my suggestion would be to just try a lot of different things, see what works for you. Some people, you have like artists like Michael Reardon. He paints fully vertical formats. If you go over, actually, I'm curious to see. Let's go ahead. I'll share it with you. Let's look at Michael Reardon's work on Instagram. He's really good. Michael Reardon. I've shared his work here on Painting Masters. So this is an example for an artist, Chrome tab, there we go, who paints very, very vertically. And by the way, his recent work is getting even better and better. That's really cool. Because he paints a lot with just like the ultramarine and burnt sienna kind of color balance, but I see he's combining more greens now. But you see, all of the format is usually vertical, and the more we go back, I bet you the more extreme this will be. Like, look at this thing here. This is really interesting. So yeah, there we go, another one. There's a lot of logic to that, because then you can go with the flow of water. But I think that's just what he enjoys, honestly. So here's another one, but this one is horizontal. That's a rare one from him. But you see, so it really depends on your taste. If you like that kind of a thing, you'll end up taking photos like this, you know, and that's the thing you'll enjoy. Dwayne, do you have any works that you cropped heavily for better results? Oh, that's a good question. Very rarely. I had a few paintings where a part of the painting just felt like it wasn't doing anything. It was just empty, an empty continuation. So I cut it. It happened maybe twice, 3 times from all the hundreds of paintings I've made. That's a great question. It doesn't happen much. I don't do it as a, like, I don't look at paintings and think, maybe I can make it better by, I don't think about it almost ever. But sometimes it's just glaringly obvious, and that's when I will do it. It's very, very rare. Gabriel, have you ever tried digital art before? Yes, I have. There are a few videos here of me painting digitally. Sketching digitally, there's a lot of, like, anatomy, stuff like that. I enjoyed it. It just didn't have the same appeal as watercolor, as seeing the paint move on paper. Watercolor is much more fun to me. But I do enjoy the digital process as well. I do enjoy it. I like the act of mixing my colors and, having perfect control over the mix, as opposed to sampling colors or making a pre-ready palette. It's much easier sometimes to do undo. You have the undo button, makes things a lot easier and less risky. But yeah, and I like to have the physical painting. So yes, I will use more digital art when I do get around to working on a comic book idea that I have. That's when I will probably do more digital, especially for the tones. Maybe some inking, but probably not. But yeah, I like it. I just not as much as watercolor and traditional. Priya, what are your thoughts on how practice between planner and working from photos can feed each other? Oh, it can definitely. It's just another experience, and it definitely feeds into and improves. Both things improve one another for sure. So yeah, I would do both, honestly. Even if you're just curious, I would simply do both, for sure. Let's see. Marjorie, would love another with Steve. It's been a while. Yes, I love Steve. He's really good. Agreed. You and Steve Mitchell are fun to listen to. Yeah, I kind of feel like listening back to that stream. It's been a while. I can't really listen to myself talk, but if it's an old video, I can. Halburn, have you ever thought of selling some of your paintings into displays? You know what? That's interesting. I'm not sure. Do Display just get submissions? I'm gonna have to look into that. I'm familiar with Display, and I've seen their sponsored videos a lot on YouTube, and it looks cool. But no, I haven't never thought about that. That looks interesting. Your value game is 100%. Thank you so much. Prime, any interest in a channel Discord? I do have a Discord. Let's share it. Let's open it up some more. We have a couple of people here, quite a few. Invite people, copy the link. So this link will be good for a week. So go ahead, feel free to join. Link is in the chat. Let's open it up for more people. I kind of grow it very slowly. Vespa, thank you, Liron, for all the help. And by the way, yes, I just don't have a lot of time I'm not doing activities there. I'm just kind of dropping in and writing a bit. And the last 6 months to a year have been just rough generally, so I had less and less time. My apologies for that. But there's great conversations there, so I would join. Vespa, thank you, Liron, for all the help in so many ways. You're the best. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Vespa. Your support means the world. Janzar, the reference photos people give me for portraits and animal portrait commissions are often so bad. It really is a skill to know how to get the composition and lighting done. That is so true. So true. The best thing you can do for a commission is filter what kind of photo you're going to paint, ask for as many options as possible, direct and explain to them exactly the type of photos that would work best. It's just reality. Some types of photos work better for watercolor. That's the thing. And I explain it to people. The few commissions I do, I explain it to people really well, and they understand. And that's the best thing you can do, so you don't suffer through it and you actually enjoy it. Marjorie, I was still painting when I had a photo of my daughter with the drinks on fire, but I never captured it in watercolor. The fire just suited me. Almost went back to oil. Yeah, watercolor is hard sometimes to capture fire with. Whenever I see someone painting fire, I'm like, oh, that's really original. I like that. Halburn, I would love to see you watercolor paint a wacky 5-point perspective as reference, kind of like Paul Heston's works. Yeah, that would be interesting. That would be interesting. I may give it a go. Or fisheye perspective, yes. Vahe, hopefully I'm pronouncing it correctly. Have you ever tried gouache paints? What are your thoughts on that? I'm happy you asked, because I will. Give it a while. I have a video in the work, a sponsored kind of collaboration video with a brand, and I will try gouache for the first time. So keep an eye out for that. I'm excited about that. Priya, going to get your course on watercolor and sketching soon. Very excited. Oh, thank you so much. Super grateful. on that note, I think I'll have to wrap it up because I'm looking at the schedule. We need to be somewhere, and it's going to take a bit of a time. We're going to walk there because we're exercising lately, doing walks. So yeah, I mean, thank you so much. This has been really fun. Talked about reference photos. You know, if you have any questions related to how to take better reference photos or just general stuff, drop them in a comment. If you're watching this after the live stream has ended, feel free also to drop it in a comment. And yeah, we'll do another one real soon. Next week, I have something here that annoys me. We'll do another stream hopefully next week. We're getting close to the move. I told you we're going to move again. So things may get a little busy, but for now, it's going to take a bit longer. But I think we found probably a good place. We'll see. So yeah, there's that kind of a thing there in the middle. But yeah, thank you so much for being here. Really, really appreciate it. I do have to mention once again the auction. Let me show it once again before we wrap it up. Oops, I closed the window. Why did I close the window? Whatever. Now it's going to take ages to find it, of course. I'll find it. Easy peasy. There we go. So feel free to check that out if you want to place a bid. It's called No Parking here. It's a beautiful scene from New York. You can get it right now. You can get it for $89 if you win the auction for that price. And yeah, would be grateful. It's probably the cheapest a painting of mine is going to go for in the next, I don't know, while, hopefully. But yeah, I think it's a good opportunity. So check it out. The first link in the description box below. And yeah, thank you so much. Thank you, John. Thank you, John. Thank you, Dwayne. Much appreciated. Thank you, Marjorie. Laura, thank you so much. Jacqueline, hopefully one day we'll do that compilation. Janzart, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And we'll talk to you again soon. Thank you, Halburn, for being here. Yeah, we'll talk again soon. Check out Saturday's video. It's going to be out. Favorite brushes updated to 2024. So that hopefully will be quite useful as well. We'll talk to you again soon. Bye, Gabrielle. Thank you so much for being here.